Okay, good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here this chilly morning. Hope you didn't get blown away by yesterday, but we're here to talk a little bit about business planning. We're talking about some of the basics, why it's important, how to create goals that are clear, types of business plans, and how to stay on track. So that's kind of what we'll be starting off with today. Or we could just shortcut this whole thing. And if everyone here did 10% of what Candy Dykman does, we would all have great years. She blew me away 2 weeks ago with
Absolutely
all that she's involved with. So just follow her lead, and we'll all be more productive because of it.
business planning. All right, pump it up in here. I don't think this is a popular topic with real estate agents. I wish there was a poll, or wish I would have thought of Googling one to see how many people in our industry do this.
I would say very, very few.
I would say very few.
Maybe 2%. Maybe.
And even if it's up to 10, how many people look at it after the first quarter? Probably then you're down to 2% or less.
Yeah.
It's an important tool. And I don't know why it's not embraced more in our industry. I think for me, part of the reason why I wasn't super into it is, again, my background was big builder, national builder. You're a salesperson, you're an employee more than a realtor. And we had to do business plans. And it was kind of just BS at the end of the day, because it had to align with what corporate thought you had to sell anyways. And I think the other thing that was a turnoff to me was that in those earlier days of my career, business planning was always the same thing. Take what you want to make, take how many deals that takes to get it, understand your conversion rate for appointments per deal, understand how many phone calls you need to make for every appointment, and do the math and back your way into how many phone calls you have to make every day to make the amount of money that you wanted to make. Getting on a phone and just hammering on the phones was my least favorite thing to do in the industry. So it wasn't a tool that I embraced early. And I think that might be why some people don't like it, as they've all been a part of that formula for a business plan. So it's been around forever. If any of you guys use that style of a business plan and it works for you, stick with it. There's a reason it's been around forever. It's a formula, and it still follows the basics of what we're going to talk about today, which is just having a plan that breaks down your goal into daily activities.
Right. And pretty much, and we'll take a look at, I've got a 23-page plan here that we'll talk a little bit about, but it all breaks down to there's a common thing of doing specific tasks and setting goals.
Yes.
We like to start it with knowing where your business came from. You can't just say, I want to do 15 deals and then start doing some lead gen and some open houses. You need to understand where your business comes from. So you take a look at your history. And I think historically, at least 2/3 of everyone's business comes from people that know them, like them, trust them, and then want them to succeed. So that's where for my business, I put an awful lot of emphasis on SOI, because that's where the bulk of my business comes from. But if you do, you want to do 12 deals next year, probably 7 or 8 of them are going to come from sphere of influence, and maybe, one from lead gen, and one from open houses, and one from social media. That probably doesn't add up to 12, though, does it?
It's a little short. It's 11, but then you still have an okay year. Yeah. And it meets your goals, but I think that's important, knowing where they're coming from. I also, before I do my business plan every year, I take a really good look at my pipeline, the leads I have been working with, the saved searches I have for clients out there. And that helps me. I do exactly what you just mentioned every year. I pick how many deals I need to do, and then I categorize them into where they are going to come from, or where I hope they're going to come from. But if I already know that I've got, six of them kind of in the hopper for the next 12 months out of my sphere of influence, and I set my goal at 8, that's probably not a good goal, right? That's probably a little bit low. And also, if I've never done an open house in my life and I want to sell 7 of them out of open houses, that's probably not a good goal.
Yeah, they've got to be realistic goals.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt about that.
Yep. Let's hit real quick on why, we shamed our agents for most of them probably not doing business plans. Why is it important, Kevin?
Okay, well, it provides a clear roadmap. If you don't have a map, you don't know where you're going, and you can end up who knows where, right?
Right.
And so it helps you achieve both, short-term and long-term goals because you've got something specific. The goals should be well-defined and unambiguous. I mean, they need to be very, very clear. But the biggest thing for me with business planning or having a business plan, and Nathan touched on that, is having specific activities to do every day. I'm a big believer that, I don't worry about the end result. If I do my activities, if I focus on my activities and I trust them, I know that my goals are going to get met.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we'll do a little bit better and sometimes not quite as good, but let your activities drive where you want to go. And we like to choose activities that you enjoy doing. If you don't like doing open houses, they should not be one of your goals or
Right.
one of your activities.
Yep.
For me, I really enjoy being around people and helping them and helping their lives and improving their lives. So I put an awful lot of emphasis again on my sphere of influence. But yeah.
I'm gonna jump in real quick. For me, one of the reasons why business planning is important for me is that this is I'm a solo agent. This is an industry where most of us work on our own. Maybe you're on a team, but it can be a lonely road at times. It can be where you're going to the office every Tuesday and everybody's high-fiving and you're looking for yours, right? Because maybe you're a little bit slower. Your people around you might be having success. It can be a little bit of a lonely road, and we all know that it's a roller coaster. There's times where you're so busy, and then there's times where you wonder if your phone just doesn't work because it's not ringing.
Right.
That business plan and jumping back into that quarterly at the very least, for me, it's kind of like your business buddy, where it's going to kind of tell you, okay, it's going to be okay. Are you doing these things we talked about doing? And if you are, it is going to be okay. And things are going to, you are going to, if you did it properly, if you structured your business plan properly, it's something that's going to make you feel better about what's going on. It's going to maybe help you identify a couple things that you're doing where you're just floundering. And it's just that kind of that business buddy that I like that kind of keeps you aligned. So.
Yeah. And, the nice thing about doing the analysis of your business and going through the business planning is one, it helps you define your objectives. So you know what you're going to do. But it gets into a little deeper dive, your marketing position. What do it helps you identify and define your target market. I mean, who you're going after. Are you after a luxury market, after new construction? It helps you refine and define what you're going after. Also, it's a financial management. And I know there's a course coming up talking about building a budget for your business, but going through this activity, it does teach you how to manage your money a little bit better, and it helps you define your lead strategies, your lead generation strategies. How are you going to get to this business? It helps you measure your performance. So, I mean, there's so many good aspects to it. I'm not sure why more of us don't do it.
Right.
I was hoping for too.
Oh, you did so good on this. One thing that I hit on a little bit earlier, and these are, again, just keys to know before you go into it. We're going to go into the exercise of best practices in building one. But one of them has to be adaptability. As I mentioned before, if you don't do open houses, you probably shouldn't put 7 sales this year on open houses, or if you've never done one. Or like in my case, if I had 6 sphere of influence deals in the hopper, I probably shouldn't do 8. Or if I do set 8, I have to visit this business plan at a quarter or 2 quarters and change it. If you've decided that you're going to get a bunch 12 new clients by buying internet leads and you've spent a bunch of money and you have zero after a half of the year, you should probably change that business plan. These aren't static. These are fluid. They need to be fluid business plans, which is why in the beginning, when I made that comment about how many actually review their business plan after they write it, it's fine to write one in January to feel good about where you're going, but by May, you still need to know where you're going.
Yeah. That's that part of measuring, your having your objectives and your goals and then measuring against it.
Absolutely.
And then being able to adapt to it if it needs to be shaken up a little bit.
Yep. You got to be able to move within the plan.
Also, the business plan is not just business. It also, you should be incorporating in your life plan too. So, how many hours do you want to spend with your family? How many hours do you want to spend in a boat fishing for days on end?
I like that.
So it helps you really get that life work balance because you're defining what you're going to do and how you're going to spend your time.
Yeah. I hope everybody that's here is in this business because you absolutely love the day-to-day about this business. That's why I don't ever want to leave this business. I love the job. And I heard a coach one time when he was talking about business planning say, picture your perfect day. What is your perfect day? Wake up, maybe go to the office, talk to some colleagues, show 4 houses, go out for lunch,
go fishing,
take about a 30-minute nap, get up, get the kids off the bus. Whatever your perfect day is, that should be reflective in that business plan. If you hate doing open houses, don't put stuff on your business plan about open houses. Don't go do something that's going to make you miserable. Do stuff that's going to keep you having fun in this industry, because people that don't have fun in this industry, they don't last long.
Right. And 2, part of this whole thing is to treat your business like a business. I mean, we're trying to make a living off of this. And having a plan, a good solid plan, knowing where you're going, it just gets your mindset
right
to where you're treating it like a business instead of just things happen to come your way.
Mm-hmm.
I know the first part of my career is I was just waiting for things to come in, and fortunately things did come in, but there's no structure to it, and it's just flying by the seat of your pants. And by having some good structure to it and a well-defined plan, again, it's activities. It's all about doing activities, doing them consistently. And that's where your successes come from.
Absolutely. My first business plan was make enough money to not have to go get a real job. And it was my goal, and it actually worked somehow, but I wasn't treating my business like a business. Yeah. It was still somewhat of a business plan, just not a good one.
Yeah. And finally, one of the points of having a business plan is to get to that long-term vision. It's not just one quarter at a time. It's taking a look at your whole business, your whole life, where you want to go. Where do you want to go in 5 years, 2 years, 10 years? It really starts setting the stage for your long-term success and sustainability.
Absolutely. So, what do you want to talk about next, boss?
Well, okay, so like we said before, there's a couple different ways to approach it. Mine is a little bit different than Nathan's, but we're pretty much on the same page. But here I've got a 23-page business plan. It's the structure for it, and it talks about 10-year vision, 5-year vision, 1-year vision, values, mission, purpose, accountability, commitment. Why are you doing this? Units and goals. More units and goals.
It just makes me sweaty.
More units and goals. Yeah, I mean it's 23 pages. It doesn't work for me.
No, it's too much for me.
But if you want to understand everything about your business, I mean, this is the way to go.
Absolutely.
Just and some people's minds work that way.
That I would say is the key. Some people this really does work for. I am that doesn't work for me. I need things almost more in like pictures.
Yeah.
Like a Perkins menu. This works well for me. But again, if someone said, hey, I did a business plan and they brought me that 23-page thing and it had accountability and daily tasks and checklists and check-ins at a certain and measures and you hit all the points, that's an awesome business plan then.
Yeah.
It's just not going to work for me.
And again, like we said before, even with this 23 pages, it all ends up funneling down to activities,
Absolutely, daily.
you know, to daily activities. And again, like I said before, that's a key to your success, is doing what you like every day, and just having consistency in it.
Yep.
And yeah, and you'll win.
Yep.
So let's talk about how to set some of the objectives and goals now. So we use the acronym SMART, S-M-A-R-T. What's S for? Nathan?
Goals need to be specific. Like I mentioned before, my first goal of make enough money to not get a real job probably wasn't specific enough. You need these goals to be specific, because if they're just ambiguous, it's hard to create the steps underneath them to be able to understand what you should be doing every day to go up that ladder and meet that goal. If your goal is too wishy-washy, you won't be able to define the steps on how to get there.
Yeah, instead of just saying get more clients, say gain 5 new buyer clients in the next quarter and 2 listings.
Yeah, that's
Be very specific on your
absolutely.
numbers.
Yeah.
And then they have to be measurable. And once you're specific, the measurable comes easy. Because then you've got the criteria to track your progress and measure success. So you say, I want to improve my business by 15%. I want 15% more sales in this next quarter. That's measurable. Instead of saying, I want to sell more houses.
Right. Yeah, I agree. It's got to have, and it's, if you're not having measurable activities or goals, then I don't think a business plan will work in general, because then when you do go back to check into it, how are you going to know what you're looking for if you can't measure your success or where you're short, things like that. The next one in the SMART acronym is achievable. I'm not going to create a business plan that has me selling 40 houses next year. For me, that is not achievable. I think for a lot of people, it is. I know people that do that, and well, more than that.
Right.
For me and the way I do my business and the way my business needs to align with my life and my lifestyle and my family and things, that's not an achievement. That's not a realistic goal. So these goals need to be achievable. The big reason I think because of that too is that if you set these goals way too high, and then you do check in on them in a quarter, I think you're just going to get discouraged. You're going to get hard on yourself. And that's not the point of having a business plan. A business plan, like you said, is a roadmap, right? It needs to be something that you can use. And if these aren't achievable goals, you won't use it.
Yeah, and then also, so the our part of the SMART is relevant. It's got to be things that make sense to you. So if if one of your goals is growing your social media presence, only use that as a goal if you're on social media a lot. You
Makes sense.
You can't be like some of our agents who really build their presence that way, but they're not even on Facebook yet.
Right.
So it's got to be relevant to what your life is.
And when I was early in leaving Big Builder, where all of our marketing is paid for us and clients come to us, and had to go learn how to chase, right? I had somebody that said, well, you should buy these leads online. And I thought, that's a great idea, except I don't have any money. I mean, I did, but it was family savings account money. It wasn't in what I had set up to start my business with. Right. So if I would have tried to say, yeah, I'm going to go buy all these Google leads, or it probably weren't Google leads back then, they're probably Zillow leads, whatever. That wouldn't have worked for me. I didn't have the funds to do it. I looked at my business plan back then and knew it had to be more of a bootstraps effort. And so what I really ended up chasing back then was open houses, because that doesn't really cost any money. And yet you're still going to get yourself in front of real live buyers and sellers that way. So I did things that were high effort, low cost earlier in my career to scratch together some deals.
Yeah, and if I could just kind of piggyback on that one, when Lynn and I were first starting out, we came from desktop publishing, so we could create a magazine, pretty easily, and so we created as a 16-page magazine with all the listings and they were with not just ours but the whole company. But it gave that impression that these were all of our listings.
Sure.
Okay. And even though we promoted it as a buyer's guide, on the back page was our program. But because we were in desktop publishing, we didn't have to hire editors and photographers and all these people to put it together.
Right.
And we could, at that time, this is a long time ago, trust me, we would publish 50,000 magazines every month and have the Star Tribune deliver them to all of their subscribers for 13 cents each.
Well,
If we sold one house out of that 50,000, we made a profit.
right.
But again, it's relevant, is because we knew that.
Yeah.
So we could do it and it made sense.
And if I tried to do that back then, I would have not, it wouldn't have worked for me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So do the things that you can do that make sense and work with your life.
all right. So getting back to the SMART, again, how to set your objectives and goals, capping it off, you got to be specific. They have to be measurable, achievable, relevant. The T is time bound. The goals need to have deadlines. You need to have these measurable goals. Like, let's say I want to gain 3 buyer clients in the first quarter.
Right.
It's important to say in the first quarter, because then when you go back and you're checking your measurables and you're checking your daily activities, you know how it needs to align. It's not just, I'm going to get, I guess it could be like, I'm going to get 3 this year. But that's just, again, you're getting too vague, you're getting too broad, you're letting yourself get a little bit too lax, because if you look at it in June, you can say, I got all kinds of time yet this year.
Or if you hit your 3, you go, I'm done.
I'm done. Let's go to the bar. Goals and deadlines to create urgency and drive focus. That's drive focus. That's the big thing there. So that is our SMART acronym for how to set them. So I think what we're going to get into next is just kind of some steps to build a good, solid business plan.
Right. Yeah. So this is, and then I guess I must like my acronyms today.
Yes, you do, Kevin.
Yeah. So we're going to use GHOST, GOST. It's goals, objectives, strategies, and tactics. And the cool part about this system, I used to work for Honeywell and did some strategic planning, and this is what we used within the company. And it's so pure, it's so clean, because once you get your goal, everything below that supports that goal. So if you're doing an activity that doesn't support that goal, don't be doing it.
You got this from Honeywell? How long ago was that? Okay.
35 years ago.
So this is just a point that if this has stuck with you for that many years, there's something that's beautiful in the simplicity and the fact that it works.
Yeah, it's a great structure for, like I said, there's a lot of different ways to do it, but setting, your goals, objectives, strategies, tactics, everything flows together. I love the simplicity of it.
So should we go through the we're doing on time? 9:24. Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing.
Do you want to go through just kind of again why don't you start with goals?
Okay, so setting the goals, that's the overall umbrella, right? And that's the what. That's the what you're going to do. So, like an example would be close 36 transactions this year. Or generate $250,000 in gross commissions, or expand your geographic market. So that's the overall umbrella part of what your goals are. Which I want to build a sustainable business in 2025. So that's a goal.
Yeah.
Again,
but I think you need
what I want to do.
You would need to, in what we talked about before, you would need to better define like the sustainable business part. I would say that if you did that, I would need to build a sustainable business by selling X amount of stuff. So you can count on it.
Well, that starts getting into your objectives.
So the objectives then, specific, measurable, and time-bound milestones. Some of these examples, again, we had 3 just different examples of the main goal. And I'm going to keep going like this because I think it is like a pyramid, the goals being the top, the tactics at the end being the bottom, because that's what you do the most of to get yourself up to the top of that pyramid. Objectives to support those goals. So if you had set the goal of closing 36 transactions in a year, an objective then is something, again, has to be measurable, time bound, things like that. Secure 18 seller clients and 18 buyer clients in 12 months. Or if your goal was to generate the 25,000 in gross commissions, generate 10 leads per month through digital marketing, let's say. Or you could say, maybe again, if you had chosen the goal of expand your geographic market presence, an objective to support that goal then would be increase social media engagement by 30% within 6 months. So again, we have measurables, 30%. We're assuming that an agent using this type of objectives would find that they're relevant and achievable and all those other things we've already talked about. Measurable at 6 months, time bound at 6 months. So those are the objectives support the goal because it, again, breaks it down into easier chunks.
Yeah, and it's the what.
It's the what of how you're going to get to that goal.
Right.
Yep.
So then you've got your goal, then your objectives support the goal. And then you start getting into strategies, and strategies and tactics are the how.
Yeah.
So we got the what, and now we're talking about the how. So strategies support the objectives. So it's kind of that's the high level. It's not your day-to-day activities, but let's say you want to build, you're supporting your objective, and you want to build a strong online presence to attract buyer leads. So, and you can have a lot of strategies to support your objectives. It's not just one strategy and one objective.
Right.
You know, you can have, and then as we get down into tactics, you can have multiple tactics on multiple strategies.
Correct.
I mean, it just all filters down. So again, strategies are the how. Is, you know, you want to position yourself as in the local market as an expert. You want to establish, again, these are fairly general terms.
Mm-hmm.
But
they're all there to help, I think, further define what that level ahead of it was, which was objective, right? So if you had set the goal of 36 transactions and then your objective on how you were going to get that goal was 18 seller clients and 18 buyer clients, then the strategy is the how are you going to get 18 seller clients and 18 buyer clients? And then that might be by positioning myself online as the local expert, by establishing a referral network with all my other professional referral people, like my inspectors and my plumbers and my handyman,
Yep.
things like that. So it's the step that explains how are you going to get these 18 and 18 because your goal is to get 36. Again, it just keeps filtering down. And then we get into tactics, and when I built my plan, I didn't know of the ghost one because Kevin hadn't given me this yet. My objectives and strategies were kind of combined in a little wishy-washy. I was always very good at the tactics, like what's my daily gonna look like. So if you are in that tactics, so let's say your strategy was to create a better online presence to get all of these new buyer and seller clients, then your tactic is going to be broken down into the very little bite-sized pieces to support everything above it. So post 3 market updates on social media every week. Again, you're very specific. That's a measurable number and it's time bound. So you're still always using that smart stuff all the way through there. Or run Google ads targeting homes for sale in the neighborhood, or what's my house worth, or things like that. Offer a free home buying guide on your website. Again, you're aligning with that strategy of using online tools to gain all these 18 and 18, which is going to make your goal of 36. And this breaks it down into the daily activities.
Yeah. And the cool part is if you do it right, you know, you've identified all your tactics, right? And these are specific things in a specific time frame. Take that and put that onto your calendar.
That's just the best part about it, is because now that you've broken it into bite-sized pieces, you can time schedule around it. You can, one thing that I tried that I saw on, I think, Lab Coat Agents, which is a nationwide Facebook group for real estate agents, somebody had posted on there about January, when everybody's thinking about business planning, a static calendar. Because we all get busy and we all make excuses for, oh, I couldn't do my post today about new homes and for sale in the area because I was showing houses, right? A static calendar is something that you set in your calendar every week so that when you're not doing the other things on a Tuesday at a certain time, you know exactly that you should be working on your website. So like maybe in this example, it was Monday was administrative tasks. You're doing CE, you're running your books, you're paying your bills, whatever. Tuesday was following up with people from the previous week or new leads from open houses or whatever. Wednesday was all online stuff. Update your website, update your solds, update your testimonials, update your, do your posts. Thursday was maybe educational day, right? So go read 2 articles that are nationwide articles that are going to make you a better agent. And then sometimes Friday was your, have fun Friday.
Meeting a scoreboard.
Meet at the scoreboard, right? So you had a good week. And if you're not busy doing stuff, reward yourself if that works in your plan. The static calendar is a great thing for when you get back from having those busy showings and you've got 40 minutes, in my case, till when the kids get off the bus. I got 40 minutes of quiet house. What should I do? Then I know exactly what I should do because it's maybe Wednesday. And it just helps keep you aligned with those daily tasks to support your strategies and objectives and goals.
Yeah, because my calendar runs my life. Because I
That doesn't run your life.
So if I have all of my tactics, I know that I'm going to do a reach out to one of my clients or 2 of my clients on Tuesday. And I'm going to do an open house on a weekend, and I'm going to do, the specific things that I do that are part of my business plan. It's on my calendar, so you can't miss it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get busy, do it the next day. But you have to be. This whole thing is based on the proposition that you are consistent in your activities.
Because it's a pyramid, if you bail on your tactics, right? If you're all of a sudden too busy because you're showing houses. And you're not making your phone calls to expireds or whatever you built yourself for your day-to-days to support your ultimate goals, when that pyramid loses a leg, right, it's going to fall.
Yeah.
And then that's how you're not going to make your goal. That's why checklists are important. Scheduling time, like we said, I have a checklist I use that I have been using and evolving for years, and it's an absolute mess for most of you people. This is how my brain works. It's got, again, the top of it is who are my new construction clients to get back to, sphere of influence clients to get back to, just keeping in touch with your more recent people. My middle part is backlog management. Then I got a section on the bottom that's prospecting and marketing, a section on the bottom of the middle that's personal and home stuff that I got to make sure I keep up with, and then a section on the bottom that's business development and administrative. And there's a whole back to this thing too, if I really want to get into the weeds on it. By Thursday, it's got all kinds of highlights on it and cross outs on it. This is what I need to make sure that I'm keeping up with my tactics to support my goals. I could do it other ways. I've tried CRMs. I like CRMs actually. For me, it's good for conversation management. What did I talk about 6 months ago when I first met these people?
Yeah.
That's what I like a CRM for. For me, having it with reminders and doing these different tasks, it didn't work for me. I'm a paper guy. I'm a spatial visual person. I actually ran out of these printed ones one day, and I got a blank piece of paper and drew squares on it. So I knew where to put all my tasks for the week because my brain works that way.
Yeah, now we know how your brain works.
It's weird.
Okay. Just a little segue on CRM. Probably the best tool in the world for keeping your business going. But I took a class, AI and ChatGPT, and they're talking about having a CRM, and there's an app that you and I both agree to use. And if you're my client, and so every conversation, every email, every time we get together, this app puts it into your CRM automatically. Because the problem I've got with the CRM is that you're taking a note while you're talking, and then you got to transfer it into your CRM. When is the dog's birthday and when is their anniversary, and what I like to take notes. I mean, a lot of notes when you're talking with your clients.
Yeah. This
app then would just dump it right into your CRM. I forget the name of it right now because I didn't come prepared for that part. But
yeah. I think that anybody that uses a CRM that works for them is ahead of most of the people in our industry again, because I think most people are not active with a CRM. like I said, to me, there's certain portions of it that are fantastic. And there's certain portions of them that I tried to work and just, they wouldn't work for me.
Yeah.
So, we should get back on track maybe.
We're here where it says staying on track.
Staying on track. Is that what we're on next?
Yeah. Well, let's try to go
Segue.
through the full ghost. We should
Okay, so
probably break it down.
we're gonna break it down. We're gonna go through our ghost program here just in bite-sized pieces again. So just kind of more to summarize than anything else
Right.
is let's say that you had set a goal for $250,000 in gross commission income in the next 12 months. The objective behind that then that you would probably use, because you would, again, you have to know your business. How many deals does it take you to get that? If you
Right.
mostly sell areas of, let's say it's $250,000 houses, you'd have to know how many transactions that is. If you're selling houses that are mostly 1.2 million, it's
Yeah,
obviously
if you're in the luxury
less.
market, it's gonna be
It's less.
different. Yeah.
But here, what we did was to close 36 transactions by year end, which is 18 buyers, 18 sellers.
And so then the strategies we identified, we used just three strategies. You could use a lot of them, but if you do too much and then get too many tactics, you'll never get it all done.
Correct.
And so 3 to 5 strategies should be a good number. So in this case, we wanted to increase our online lead generation. We wanted to build our relationships or improve our relationships with past clients for referrals, and then to target a specific high turnover neighborhood for farming.
Okay. So then, again, getting to your tactics, your day-to-days that support your strategy. So for the online leads, increasing online lead generation was your strategy. Your tactic then would be create Instagram reels showing local neighborhoods, run Facebook ads, and host virtual open houses.
And you should put that, and this is, you also want to time phase it, how many times, how many ads, how often.
How, like weekly, yep. And then your tactic for building relationships with past clients for referrals, that was your strategy. Your tactic would be send personalized thank you gifts after transactions and organize client appreciation events quarterly. Again, you have something that's time-stamped, you have something that's measurable, and that will then support your strategy of gaining these referrals from past clients.
Right. And then, so your strategy for the third strategy was, target a specific high turnover neighborhood for farming. So for farming, send monthly postcards, run geo-targeted ads, sponsor local community events. And again, how many events are you going to do? I mean, how often are you going to do the mailings?
Yep.
So you need to break it down into specific times. Then put that on your calendar or put it into your CRM.
Yep.
Like I say, I love my calendar because I'm on it all the time. It just tells me the things I have to do. I like a checklist mentality.
Yep.
I'd like to be able to go done.
Yep. Sometimes I write things on my list that I just did because it wasn't on there, and then I cross it off.
Yeah.
Say, I did it. Done. So again, I think the beauty in this ghost kind of format for goal planning is the simplicity of it.
Yep.
And it just really kind of shows you that if you take care of those day-to-day tasks, it will keep you on track. Yet again, if you're in your quarterly review with yourself and you're looking at it and saying, okay, I did all these Facebook ads, I hosted the virtual houses, I did the neighborhood things on Instagram Reels, I've gotten 0 online leads. What would you do then? If you're 6 months into this thing, you gave it a crack with your tasks and it's not meeting your strategy.
You can either pivot to something else. Generally, I like to go for a full year with an activity before I decide if it's good or bad.
Yeah, that's good.
Because different things happen at different times of the year.
That's a very good idea. And you're still measurable that way, and you're still time stamped.
Right.
Or what you could do is look at your budgets, look at what things are doing for you. I like your idea of keeping with things for a year, but maybe you're going to look at this and say, well, I'm getting almost no activity or reactions on my Instagram Reels, but my Facebook ads are actually doing pretty well.
Right.
So maybe I should
double down on that.
Double down on my Facebook ads to see if that'll help better support my strategy of online lead generation. Staying on track with goal planning is really important. I said it before, but if you're not getting into your business plan 4 times a year at least,
Yep.
it's really not going to work for you.
Yeah, it's like you said at the beginning of this, you can't just write a plan and then just put it in your desk.
Right.
You know, it's got to live with you. We're kind of getting back to the 1 year review. So what we do here in our office is we play the game of start, stop, continue. So we're talking about for your next year. So what I like 1 year cycles. So next year, what are you going to start doing that you didn't do before? What are you going to stop doing that didn't work? What are you going to continue doing that was working? So it's a way of kind of filtering out on an annual basis, getting new stuff into your business plan and getting rid of stuff that didn't work.
Right. And it's stuff that I like that activity because we go around the circle and everybody talks about the things and it gets them thinking about it. Realistically, what we're talking about today is everybody should have said, I already had that conversation with myself 4 times in the past year because I have a business plan and I'm reviewing it.
Right.
But most of us don't. Most of us might write one and then not review with it all year long. Like I said, it's kind of your business buddy in the lonely times.
Yep.
But I've always loved that activity because even if you are active with a building plan, it should be on the top of your mind, but it still maybe is like, maybe I should start doing some more of this, or maybe I should quit wasting my time doing this.
Yeah, instead of just doing the same thing year after year after year after year, because it got me where I wanted to go, kind of.
Right.
But just like we said, this is a business. Treat it like a business.
Yep.
Help it grow your family. Do the things that work for you that you like to do. But the hard part of business planning is staying on track.
Yeah, it is.
So I know you do an accountability with Leanne.
Yep, and Dean. We started, Dean and Shonda and I, years ago, and when we started it was because we had a coach from a different brokerage, different company even, speak to all of us, and he had said, I'm going to tell you this secret because none of you guys are going to do it anyway. And it was accountability groups. It was find some people in your office to meet with every week. Write down the goals you have professionally for the week. They could even be just tasks, and then 1 or 2 in your personal life. And then meet every week at the exact same time and go around with your group. I think smaller groups are better. Yeah. Probably not more than 4. 2 to 3, I think, are best. And the part we're not good with anymore, because we've done it so long and become friends, is really saying, hey, you put on your list that you were going to do so many hours of your CE because you're super busy next week. How many did you do? None. What's the problem here? We're not very good anymore about really holding each other to it because we've gotten to be so friendly. But when we started it, it was a conversation of why.
Yeah, why did you do that?
If you didn't do it, why did you put it on your list? If it was on your list, it was probably important for the week. Why was it not important to get done? And have those conversations with people. And then that's when they're going to say, well, I got busy showing houses. It's like, well, but how many did you show really all week that you couldn't do?
Was that 60 hours worth of showing houses?
Right. Accountability partners and groups should be really to hold up that list and say, this is what you told yourself and you told your business and you told me I'm supposed to hold you accountable to doing this stuff. It needs, and again, it needs to be that smart stuff. It needs to be relevant. If it's not important to you, don't put it on your weekly list in an accountability situation.
Right.
I also like that we always had personal stuff on there. We all have other lives outside of these businesses, and it just helps you keep on track. We meet on Monday mornings. I have sat in front of my laptop on Sunday evenings at 8 o'clock and gone, oh, dang, I'm supposed to do all this stuff. And then it sits on your list and it looks annoying and you kind of push it off. But then what works for me is I set timers on my phone and I say, all right, for 40 minutes, I'm just going to do this one thing. I'm going to block everything out and do this one thing for 40 minutes. And usually I'm turning my timer off at 24 minutes because it doesn't take that long. Yet we just have a tendency to push it down.
Right. So, or do bits and pieces of it instead of just sitting down and focusing for 40 minutes or 25 minutes on a specific task
and
just getting it done.
Yep. So I think part of staying on track with a business plan is definitely have an accountability group, have accountability partners, find people that you align with well, and just do that meeting every week so that your tactics, right? Those are the little things. There's the most of that stuff to do to get to your goal, and find some people that are going to help keep you on that track. Because if you stop doing your posts or you stop doing your updates on your website, you're not going to hit the goal.
Right.
And we all need help with those things, I feel like.
Yeah, like we said it, many times, trust your activities. Choose the activities that you think will bring you business and do them consistently. And don't worry about at the end goal, because you'll get there if you do your activities consistently.
Absolutely. Kind of talked about meeting quarterly, kind of beat that one in the ground.
I think that's all we got.
I think that
Well, let's open it up for questions.
we can open it up for questions.
We were just.
So if you have a question, you can just put it in the chat or raise your hand. Here's Candy. Let's get Candy unmuted here. All right, Candy, you should be able to unmute now.
All right, perfect. First of all, thanks you guys. Good job.
Thanks, Candy.
I have business planned for, I don't know, years, and I think it's very, very helpful, but you guys nailed it on many aspects of how many people actually go back and look at it. Once they do it, it's like, oh, I got that done, and then you never go back and check it out again. But that's where the accountability comes in, and that was a note that I kind of made as you guys were talking, is I made my note before you guys actually got to it, but accountability is great, and it's a really good time for I don't even know how all of our businesses or our offices are structured, but it's a great time for the broker to check in with you too, of, hey, how are you meeting your goals? Are you meeting your goals? How can they help you? Along with, I like your idea of doing it weekly. I have a mastermind group that I get together with, and we do it weekly every Wednesday mornings, and it's just great to kind of help keep you on track, or be like, oh yeah, okay, I slacked, I gotta do more about that. One question I have for you guys though is, do either of you, like when you're doing your business plan, how do you know how much you want to grow each year? How do you guys make that decision?
It kind of depends on what your capacity is for that year. You can't just say for the next 10 years, I want to grow 15%. Things happen in lives, and it's like, I know right now you've got young kids, so you're a football coach, you're involved with a lot of activities. You can't say I want to increase my business by 30%.
I've never actually, Candy, I'm guilty of not putting growth into my business plan. So I'm really glad you brought that up, because it sheds some light on probably how I'm maybe not treating my business like a business person should.
Yeah.
That business acumen's never been my background. So I like that, and that's going to give me something to think about. What I do typically is more of how much does my yearly need to make, just to work into my family economics, with savings and with, putting some into retirement. And I give it that thought, and then I break it down into transactions, and then how many transactions. But I'm guilty of not looking at, what NDC Properties needs to grow by a percentage on a year.
Well, Candy, how do you what's your approach on it?
Yeah, so I've done a couple of different ways. I get coaching with Tom Ferry. And so it kind of depends on who my coach is at the time. So like sometimes they'll look at my past numbers and say, okay, so last year you did, I'm just going to throw the number out there, 70 transactions. Do you feel you can do more? If the answer, of course, I'm so competitive, I'm like, yeah, I can do more. So then it's, do you think like, how many more buyers versus how many sellers? Where your focus is. Like I've really kind of switched over the last couple of years. I want to focus on listings versus buyers. So then we'll add, okay, let's see if we can, get 5 to 7 new listings this year or more listings. And then when you went through the COVID times and then the interest rates, like you kind of have to adjust that, right? Because it's like, okay, I probably can't do more than I did last year, but you always want to strive for more. But then I also have other coaches that are kind of a flat, you should always be increasing by, 3 to 5% every year. I have the philosophy, make your goals higher so that you can achieve them. Because if you're always achieving them, then that means you're not working super hard to overachieve.
I agree with that.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just a thought for other people, but I was just wondering how you guys did it. I'm doing my business plan here in the next 2 weeks. You also made a great comment about people do their business planning in January when it should be done in like October, November.
Absolutely.
Not in January. So I'm a little bit behind the eight ball, but we'll get there.
I'm glad you brought that up because, like I said, I'm gonna put that in my business mirror and take a good longer look at it. But I think it brings up another just point to me, anyways, about how these business plans to work for you and your business, each one individually. Candy's business, I would never make Candy's business plan. It wouldn't. There's no way it would work for me.
Right.
And let's say there's agents out there that have other. I mean, what I love about this industry is that there's room for everybody in it. Some agents might have other part-time jobs and their goal might be, I want to sell 4 houses this year.
Right.
Or maybe their goal is to say, I want to refer 4 deals to Nathan so I don't have to do any work and get 25% of it. And then you can write a business plan on how to do that.
I got to work on that.
Yes. So I think that every business plan needs to work. I've gone through coaching seminars or people to say, how are you going to build your team and how much investment properties are you going to own and how much? That's never been for me. I don't want a team of people underneath me. I'm too afraid really I'm so financially conservative. Purchasing rentals has never been a part of my plan. It would scare me to death. But I know people that it has made them a lot of money, and it's worked very well for them. But I will lose sleep at night if I try to put that into my business. So I think it's just a note that I'm definitely going to look at that in my business plan, Candy. So thank you for that. But everybody's plan needs to work for everybody, and there's not going to be 2 plans that work for 2 people.
Right. Yeah. It only works if it works for you.
Absolutely.
You can't say, well, whatever Nathan's doing, I'm doing because he's successful. It doesn't work that way. You've got to do what works for you.
Right. And I think that's it's important. But and another thing I love that Candy said is don't write a business plan that you're going to be done with in June.
Right.
Set those goals so that you do have to get up every day and go chase. Because if you set your goals that are just going to be too easy, I think you're selling your business short, for one thing. You're selling yourself short. We should all love what we're doing every day, but we should also love the chase. So I like that of setting those goals where you really have to get up in the morning and go get them.
Yep. Agreed.
I have one more thing. I honestly did not want to steal your time. But we did a business planning and I think Matt probably has the info on it. Maybe 2 years ago. There was a bad snowstorm and I just remember the gal was on Zoom, but we had a pamphlet that we worked through. So if anybody is like, they want to write a business plan, but they don't really even know where to start. Like you have your 23-page one that you said you don't really like, but how do you even know where to start? I bet Matt probably has a copy of that. I might have one in my office too, but I bet Matt could provide that. And I thought that was a great book. I had already done mine, but I thought that was a really great booklet and pamphlet to go through and just kind of helped you think about ideas. Obviously, you don't have to do all of it, but even if your first year you do a fourth of it, it's better than nothing. So maybe Matt can send that out if he has that.
We've actually got that in our resources tab for business planning. So you can download the 4-pager and it's right there for anybody who wants to get it. So it's on 21online.com, click resources, and then it's under your business planner from launch last year.
Oh, cool. Perfect.
Any other questions or comments? Cool. Well, I appreciate everyone getting up this morning and being here and letting us get into your heads. This has been good for us, I think.
Yep.
Appreciate it. And I think we're done.
Yep. And if anybody has any other questions, you want to reach out to either Kevin or I offline, feel free.
Yeah. Always happy to help.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much, you guys were awesome. We appreciate all of your time and your expertise. As always, knocked it out of the park. Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, Carl.
guys.
Yeah.